Hi everyone, it's Sloan Rhodes here with your spiritual guidance for the week of February 16th, 2020. Hope everyone had a good week last week. Today I'm going to be drawing two cards, one from the Numerology deck by Michelle Buchanan and one from the Enchanted Map deck by Colette Baron Reed. Let's go ahead and get started. It's for all astrological signs, spiritual guidance for the week of February 16th, 2020. Effort, forgiveness under the deck. Let me get the Enchanted Map deck. Details, details, and protecting treasure. So under the deck, we have forgiveness and protecting treasure. You know, it's interesting because when you think about forgiveness, we often think about forgiving others. And it's important, of course, to do that, not for them, but for you. But it's even more important to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for harboring resentment to begin with. You're just trying to protect yourself, right? You did what you thought needed to be done in the moment. That's okay. You know, we all have been there, right? But this week, important, very, very important to begin to forgive yourself for those moments where you spoke harshly, where your ego came in and you felt a need to assert yourself. The inner child demanded that he or she be seen, heard, you know, and suddenly you found yourself acting in a way that wasn't necessarily your intention, but it came forth. You're just trying to protect yourself, you know. The inner child protecting itself from the imagined threat, you know. Forgive yourself. And of course, the more forgiveness you heap upon yourself, the more you are able to forgive others for their seeming transgressions or their own harsh words or misunderstandings or moments where their ego got the better of them. You know? So that's under the deck. Sort of an underlying energy here. You may have already been working upon this or intuited this and have been being kinder and more forgiving of self. And then we have effort and details. So if you are going to be working towards something this week that you're wanting to create more stability in your life, remember, we have 13, we have number 4, right? So for me, that's about stability. Maybe something around the home or something in manifest form, just creating a greater sense of stability. You're really wanting to put a lot of effort into that. The devil is in the details this week. What creates the stability are all the moments where you pay attention to your words, to your actions. Nothing is silly, right? Nothing is unimportant. Now, I don't say this to stress you out, but it's about becoming more conscious of the fact that, especially this week, you have an opportunity, there's an opening here for greater clarity, to really recognize that everything you do is important for you, you know? There are a million trillion different ways in which we give away parts of ourselves. You know, if you want to look at it like that. It's a very kind of harsh way to think about it, but I'm being kind of concussive here so you'll understand. If you constantly brush off things, oh, that's okay, it doesn't really bother me, over time, you begin to create an experience where you forget who you are because you're not connected anymore. It doesn't mean that you have to fight with everyone. That's not what I want. It's not that. It's about course correcting in the moment. The details are what create the strength and the stability of who you are. Your moral certitude, if you will, your moral fortitude, your sense of self, the values that you hold, whatever that means for you, and those may change throughout your life as well. Hold them loosely, but the devil is in the details. The clarity, let's say, is in the details. They take time to build, but it's worth it, right? Because we have so much strength here, so much confidence. The doing with the certainty that you've taken care of yourself through the details of how you speak, the actions that you take. Every time you give yourself permission to be unkind, and we all do, right? No one is immune, we're all human. There's no judgment here. It's just about consciousness, awareness, love, right? Every time you ignore an unkindness towards yourself, it creates instability. Forgive yourself. Forgive another. But recognize it. Wow, that person was really unkind to me today, and I kind of laughed it off because I didn't know how to react. Interesting. I'm getting clear on what feels good to me. I'm getting clear on whose energy I want to spend time in and with. It's not about going back and fixing things. It's about an awareness of what you're wanting, the details of your life. The more you do this, the less fearful you become, because you begin to feel much stronger, more connected through your efforts of forgiving self, loving self, forgiving others, loving others. Not always loving what they do necessarily, but loving them for the journey they're on. Not always easy. I'm not saying it's something that's going to happen overnight or all the time, but you may get glimpses of it. But most importantly, it's about forgiving yourself for all the ways in which you've been either unkind to yourself or to others, or unconscious, or you beat yourself up for not having been more conscious, or judging others, or competing with others. It's all fair game. And this week, again, the clarity, I'll say it, I like this better, is in the details. The details of what you do, what you say. Now, of course, you want to bring it to the practical, the manifest. There may be, this week, contracts that are being signed. Pay attention to those details. Make those efforts to create some stability in your life. And we do have Mercury retrograde, right? So sometimes there's things that need to be fixed, that errors from the past that come up, and just make sure you're paying attention to the details. Don't just brush them off. Forgive someone for making the mistake in the first place, or yourself. But the clarity comes in all of that sort of detail-oriented fine-tuning this week. Interesting. I hope that makes sense. I'll have to listen to it again and see as well, because sometimes I just start talking and it's just... let me see if I want to say anything else. No, I think that's it. All right, so I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Pay attention to the details, forgive yourself and others. Make the effort to be conscious this week, especially around the seeming minutia of what you're doing or what others are doing. It matters, it really does. Because to the universal oneness, there are no bigs and smalls. There's only one energy. So however you are choosing in that moment, in the moment, whatever you're choosing in the moment is the same as any other moment. Does that make sense? So whether you are being loving in a grand gesture or whether you are being loving in the tiny moments where no one sees it, it's the same energy, right? So I hope that makes sense. All right, I wish you all much love, and I will see you on the next video or your private appointment. And remember that all of my YouTube videos are available in audio format on the podcast, and there are links below. Much love.